Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udikang. It's the show where we chat about business analysis and project management issues and the challenges and triumphs within those fields. It's inspiring, informative, and of course, very much inquisitive. My guest today is a passionate project portfolio manager, a knowledge management strategist, and a keynote speaker. He's also a philanthropreneur, an executive director of Apostolic Bridge Builders Incorporated, a former pastor, an adjunct professor, and a devout change maker. As former president of the PMI Austin chapter, he carries an honorary doctorate degree in leadership and is the recent author of the book, The Knowledge Café, which we will talk a bit about today. Please help me welcome to today's show, joining us all the way from Austin, Texas, Benjamin Anyacho. Welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you so much, Marcos. My pleasure.
Fantastic. Great having you. Now, I thought I'd start out by asking you, because you have a long history in project management, how did you initially get into project management field?
Beautiful question, Marcos. I would say serendipity. I don't know about you, but I stumbled onto PMBOK 2008. I wish I had known about this profession earlier. Most of my career I have been marked with projects and stakeholders from hell. And that I mean managing complicated and complex projects that nobody wants to touch. I once asked my boss why she always assigned the most difficult projects to me, even though I was the newest on the team and not the most highly paid. Her response was revealing. Ben, we use our best surgeons for the most difficult surgery. I did not know what the heck she was talking about till today. So in my journey, I have been managing complicated projects. For instance, in 1996, I was a staff. I was doing my national service at the Central Bank of Nigeria. That's the Federal Reserve Bank of Nigeria. There was a project nobody wanted to mess with. Reconciliation of several years of bank reconciliation. I led a team that reconciled and completed that job. Messy, very messy. When I was the chief accounting officer or chief financial officer at Martino in Anambra State. Martino Oil, it was a conglomerate of a transportation company with several groceries chain, etc. in 4 states. I assumed the position. I took over from a chief finance officer that died in an auto accident. Mm-hmm. And he was in the process of establishing a new accounting system. So I walked into a room that was full of papers and I was told to establish a new accounting system, as though that was not enough, in the middle of a family feud. And I was just right out of college, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the projects I've been baptized with. And at University of Texas, I led a project managing the reconciliation of 70 years of employee records from 1930 to 1974. I can go on and on and on. In Austin, I was able to bring through City Impact Roundtable Conference. I brought elders to the table, people in government, and leaders of industry, media, faith community, to work together to build collaboration synergy for greater and sustainable city and community transformation. It was difficult to see people who have lived in the city for 40, 60 years, never talk to each other, to bring those kind of people together. So by 2009, I stumbled onto a friend, one of my best friends, Michael Brown. Michael Brown owned a school, a PMP certification school. And he said, Ben, what you've been doing is project management. You need to get PMP. I said, what's that? PMP. I dragged my feet a little while and I took the challenge. He said that his school guaranteed 98% success rate. Now I took the exam. I was successful taking the exam. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions I've made in my career. And from that time, my career in project management zoomed off.
The rest is history. Fantastic. Yes. Now, your book, The Knowledge Café, recently come out. You say it is for curious and caffeinated knowledge workers. Maybe you can tell us a bit about the book And what type of knowledge is it caffeinated with?
Thank you so much. I will start asking, why do people go to the cafe? The name of the book is The Knowledge Café. Why do people go to the cafe? Whenever I ask these questions at conferences or workshops, meetings, I get a lot of great responses. But my favorite is when people say, well, people go to the cafe to buy a cup of overpriced coffee. However, folks go to the cafe to learn, to grab a coffee, tea, talk, get caffeinated. For the unknown, let me stop at the unknown. If your world revolves around the known, you will not go too far. There has to be that inquisitiveness, curiosity to know the unknown, to know more. And the space for that is in a cafe setting in terms of knowledge, to seek knowledge, get information, share, consume knowledge, learn something new. When you are bored, or teamwork, conversation, socialization, hear others' viewpoint, a free workshop, or enjoy the company of others or new friends, make new friends, check your emails, improve your knowledge, your project delivery methodologies, share experiences, find solutions. That's what happened in the Knowledge Cafe space. So when you ask people, let's go, what comes to mind when we say, let's go to the cafe? It is away from home and office. So Knowledge Cafe is a way out, away from office, away from home. I want to pause and say that innovation does not happen in the cubicle. Innovation happens at the intersection of connected minds, at the cafe, around water cooler conversations. Knowledge Cafe, therefore, is a knowledge exchange attitude and learning where reflective and generative dialogues and discourse are covenanted. Debates and diatribes are intentionally outside the ground rule. A debate has its place, but not sustainable. In today's toxic culture and hostile culture that prefers debate to dialogue, my Knowledge Cafe calls everyone to a dialogue. According to knowledge management guru David Gotin, he said that Knowledge Cafe is used to surface groups' collective knowledge. We need to surface the collective knowledge of the group, to learn from each other, share ideas, insight, to gain deeper understanding. Understanding transcends knowledge, deeper understanding of topics, issues, and knowledge transfer best practices. So the Knowledge Cafe is a conversational mindset. It's a mindset and a space to cross-fertilize all kinds of ideas, exchange knowledge, and build relational capital. Conversations are like ping-pong games. You and I are talking, Marcus, and but the challenge is, how do we get people bowling? The difference between a good idea and a bad idea is connection. The cafe is a conversation, and a conversation is a connection, exchange. Learning and knowledge exchange should not be complicated, ladies and gentlemen. It should be as simple as walking into your favorite corner cafe. So Knowledge Cafe it's as simple as walking into your corner cafe. It is bringing knowledge workers to the curiosity table of knowledge conversation so that knowledge is not lost. Okay, so learning and knowledge transfer are incomplete without socialization or cross-fertilization and exchange in a cafe. Also, it is incomplete without cross-pollination of knowledge from one state to another. When knowledge workers, project managers talk to each other, machine talk to each other, machine talk to people, people talk to machine, there is knowledge management, there is cafe. So that is what it's talking about. But my soft warning to everybody listening to me is that folks are not interested in how much you know, but they are interested in how much you care. And caring alone is insufficient until we start sharing. The Knowledge Cafe construct is the epistemology of my new book that just got released. A practical guide for caffeinated four-way conversation, curious knowledge exchange and transfer, learning agility and co-creative innovation, where that includes every stakeholder, every project manager in the team, everyone in the team, on the team.
Fantastic. So talking about attitudes, talking about being inquisitive minds want to know on a project, how do you build momentum and bridges among people's ideas and results?
Good question. How to build momentum. There is no magic bullet about building momentum. I have the ability and grace to bring all kinds of people together to the table. Best-selling author and Wharton's top-rated professor and one of the world's 10 most influential knowledge thinkers, Adam Grant, said that when you only listen to the smartest person in the room, you miss out on discovering what the rest of the room is smart about. Everyone you meet knows something you don't and had wisdom from experience you haven't lived. Every conversation is a chance to learn something new. So if you look like your spouse, talk like your spouse, do everything like your spouse, you probably don't need each other. I believe in difference, reasonable difference, so that we can see how we can make a difference when we cross-fertilize ideas. On building momentum, you have to envisage what momentum should be in the first place. What is momentum? Momentum is relative to everybody. When I led PMI Austin, our key word was we wanted to build momentum. And I prefer velocity to speed. So the first thing, if you are building momentum, is to remove your fear, the fear that tells you you cannot. Be a believer. Believe in what you are espousing. If you see momentum triggering up, if you see movement, you believe that that movement could escalate. It could increase exponentially. I'm a possibilitarian. I believe everything is possible. So create your picture of success and make it a reality. What are you passionate about? I'm a passionate person. By now, if you've watched me for 1 minute, you would have seen how passionate I am. So if you are passionate about something, you gotta increase the momentum. If you have momentum, build on the momentum. And what is your BHAGs? BHAG is almost a buzzword, a cliche, big, hairy, and audacious goal. But I believe in having a growth plan. Because some people, when they reach their goal, they stop. So have a growth plan, how to grow. Because everything that does not grow begins to die. When we stop growing, dying sets in. Eliminate the energy drains and recharge yourself. Take control. Manage every aspect of the movement of your momentum. And leave nothing to chance.
Fantastic. Now, talking about building momentum, not leaving things to chance, you've been able to turn complex projects into outstanding business value realization. And you've been able to double an organization's value creation. What's your trick?
Well, again, there's no magic wand behind it. From my experience, I've managed several complex projects, but none of the complexities or complications I met in projects were as a result of my technical inabilities or capacities or lack of competency. I realized that every time I have a challenge in a project, it is because of the monkey hands people bring into the project space. And therefore, managing complicated projects is almost interwoven with managing difficult people in the project, the mistake and the mess people bring into the messages in the project. So management, according to my friend Joe Pelayo, president of CEO of Joseph Michaels International, she said that management would have been a bag of chips if human beings were not involved. So my trick, first fix yourself. Fix the man in the mirror. I realize people who bump into people, you have the same problem in project 1, the same problem in project 2, the same problem in project 3. You are the problem, fix yourself, baby. So what is your personal net promoter score? I don't have time to delve into that. That's another delivery entirely. What is your net promoter score? Would people be able to work with you again? If I'm a project leader, I lead people to manage projects. Would people be willing to manage the project again? Know that. Number 2 is I believe in what I call bowl of leadership model. I'm a believer in a bowl of soup leadership model where everyone has a spot rather than a mashed potato style or model. Everybody looks alike, thinks alike. When you are faced with projects and stakeholders from hell, the problem may be a people problem. So how do you navigate through it? Dr. Dale Bronner said that there are 4 people you will meet in your walk, in your journey. Those that add to you, those that subtract from you, those that divide you, and those that multiply you. So it is not hard to figure out how to do that. Know those you should keep close in the project and those you should keep at a distance. It's called stakeholder engagement. We know that through PMBOK. My emphasis is on my emphasis on a difficult project is with difficult people, because people are like elevators. Some will lift you up, some will bring you down, some will get you stuck. I've shared about my bringing Austin elders together. It was difficult. People are complicated. So number 3 is draw out what was left in. Marcus Buckingham and Kurt Kaufman in their bestseller, First Break All the Rules, What Best Managers Do Differently, shared an old parable which makes a lot of sense and brings insight. There once lived a scorpion and a frog. The frog wanted to cross the pond, but being a scorpion, he couldn't swim. So he scuttled up to the frog and asked, "Please, Mr. Frog, can you carry me across the pond on your back?" "I would," replied the frog, "but under the circumstances, I must refuse. You might sting me as I swim across the pond." "But why would I do that?" asked Scorpion. "It is not in my interest to sting you because you will die and I will be drowned. We both lose." Although the frog knew how little Scorpion swam, the logic proved quite persuasive. Perhaps, felt the frog, in this one instance, the scorpion will keep his tail in check. So the frog agreed. The scorpion climbed onto their back, and together they set off across the pond. Just as they reached the middle of the pond, the scorpion does what it normally does, twitched his tail and stung the frog. Mortally wounded, the frog cried out, "Why did you sting me? It is not in your interest to sting me because now I will die and you will die. And both of us are losers." Lessons according to Buckingham and Kaufman. Fundamental vicious nature doesn't change. A scorpion will always sting. And I will add, a leopard can never lose his spot. I've been in America for a long time, baby. You can still hear my accent. People don't change that much. So don't waste your time to put in what was left out, but try to draw out what was left in. That is hard enough. See the best in people in project team. See the light at the end of the tunnel and turn project lemons into lemonade.
Fantastic. I'm sure you saw a lot of skills when you were president of PMI Austin chapter back in 2018. And it's been said, in fact, you said, you increased growth to become the 17th most popular chapter for PMI Austin, and you have 3,500 plus members. Any recommendations on how to monitor and control the execution of strategy within a business based on your experience with PMI Austin chapter?
One thing I did when I became the president was I researched what was already in place. You have to understand the organization you are leading. I realized that the chapter had the potential to be among the 10 largest chapters in the world, but we didn't have it. And I asked the board, why not? So we intentionally listened to our customers, the practitioners. There was no decision we made. We didn't. I had survey. I brought in Mentimeter live on our chapter meetings to hear from our members what they wanted, and we executed what they wanted. Our first chapter meeting, dinner meeting, about 180, 150, 180, but the first one we had was about 300 people that attended. We doubled our first, and throughout my tenure, we almost doubled. We had an average of more than 225 for the whole year. We brought John Maxwell. The reason was we promised our members, when we saw where they are, knew why they are attending chapter meeting, we promised them we're going to double the value we offered. People say, whoa, that was too ambitious. We tell you we're going to double, and eventually we achieved that. That was our goal. We set our goals and strategy. We want to double the offer. People get off work at 5 o'clock and come to be beaten up in a PMI meeting, sleeping. Nobody has the time for that. You got to make it fun. I'm telling you, I don't drink beer, but we changed our venue to where they will allow people to serve beer. The first chapter meeting we had at the beginning of our term, by 5 o'clock, there was a long line of people lining up to come in. People were excited. PMI is so boring. Sometimes you go to PMI chapter meetings, it's so boring, like people who are beaten up. We said, let's get this nonsense out. Let's make this place fun. And so in fact, We have 97% customer satisfaction during our term because we were intended. We plan towards satisfying our stakeholders, making sure we brought all the past. In fact, when we had our first strategic meeting, I brought in 14 past presidents, based on my knowledge management experience. I wanted to bring the past, that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We brought 14 past presidents. A couple of them were involved in our system. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And when things are fun, things have to be fun. You have to have a strategy, motivate everybody. Our team was highly motivated. We galvanized everybody, and both old and new, those within all the stakeholders we are engaged in. And we promised them, we fulfilled what we promised them. That was why we had a success. We had more than 400 new people join us. Net 400. We added more than 400. That's 12% increase.
You're founder and international facilitator of Leaders and Thinkers, which happens to be this global leadership think tank and network. In this role, how have you provided vision and overall leadership?
I believe in leadership a lot. Sometimes leadership has become a bad word. I believe that leadership is not a position. It's a choice. And that was what drove me to start that online group, more than 8,000 members. And also because of my passion for nonprofit, I started nonprofit management profession. It has about 32,000 members from almost every nation on earth. The purpose is to galvanize leaders, to know that we can lead, we can choose to lead. Don't leave vacuum. When there is need for leadership, somebody has to step in and lead. And oftentimes we are taught that leaders are appointed. You appoint managers, but you don't appoint leaders. Leaders is a choice. You choose to occupy that space, occupy that vacuum, and fill it up. So those are my motivation. And we get managers. We try to offer value to our members, those who participate. I have one contribution on Leaders and Thinkers. I had about 1,500 contribution, one discussion, because he was passionate. People want to contribute to the topic. So that is a little bit about it. It's one of those side things I do. I'm very much involved in leadership development, and I believe everyone can be a leader. One of my life goals is to mentor 1 million people. And I probably may not touch 1 million people, but I believe I should be able to touch several people that will eventually reach out and mentor 1 million people.
Fantastic. That's fabulous. Now, looking at your responsibilities and accomplishments in the role, your current role as senior project manager, I believe, for the Texas Department of Transportation. If you look at that role, any recommendations for aspiring project and knowledge managers?
Well, if you're an aspiring project manager, I just tell you, boy, I'm not going to be very objective here because I'm a project manager. I wish I were a PMP 10 years or 20 years prior to the time I became one. The job I got now, I'm pretty sure everybody that applied for it had MBA. I have MBA. I didn't get it because of my MBA. It was because of my PMP. PMP offers a competitive advantage. It's a competency that you can use to compete in the marketplace. I mentored one of my cousins. He's a basketball player. His top basketball players playing said he wants to get into the marketplace to work. I asked him to get certified as a PMP. The young man, right out of college, he just finished his graduate degree. So he struggled, and I coached him. He was sitting down here in my office, and he went and got his PMP certification. 2 weeks later, he got a job. I said, Uncle, you can't believe it. I got a job. They're going to pay him. How much are they paying? They're going to pay me $100. They say they will start with $120,000. Boy, I said, what if I wish I had become a PMP? It wasn't because he's just right out of college, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a competency that the marketplace is looking for. So at TechStop, where I worked, I have been instrumental in establishing enterprise knowledge management programs. One of them actually has helped. We have mentored hundreds of people. And in fact, more than 100 have become PMP certified since 2016. I began the program. I ran it as a project, 2 phases out. When it was completed, I handed it off to our PMO. It's no longer PMO now. But that is my passion. I then pivoted to knowledge management. What I do right now is knowledge management. My passion, my advice to every PMP or project manager listening is don't just get stuck in one place. Reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself. See opportunity to pivot so that you become relevant. Don't just flip file and do the same old nonsense over and again. See opportunity for advancement. See way to become creative. See way to advance. Volunteer. My goodness, the best people I knew in the world, I knew them where I was volunteering. Volunteer, take up some task, some project. Who is going to help us do this? Volunteer. Connect with people. Go to a cafe. Organize Knowledge Café. Connect with people. Learn from them. So that's what I'm going to tell you about my job. I like my job. We're involved in executing strategy. We help to create strategy. We help to execute strategy. We design projects to accomplish organizational strategic objectives. That's what we do. I created knowledge management program, which is a strategy to fulfill the mission of the organization.
Fantastic. Splendid. Now, if anyone in the audience wants to get in touch with you, any recommendations, how can they do so?
Well, if you want to get in touch with me, my website is benjaminanyacho.com. On LinkedIn, I'm the only Benjamin Anyacho, fortunately. I'm on Facebook, all the social media platforms. You can reach me through any of the social media platform. I'm very active on all of them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us today, Benjamin. It's been absolutely splendid. I love the way you articulate. I love the way you give this story behind leadership, behind strategy, behind being a great project manager. And I think it adds a lot of value, great value, and it flourishes the story as well. And it brings it out and just makes it blossom and bloom. So I think it's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity.
You're very much welcome. Have yourself a wonderful and fantastic day in Austin, Texas.
Same to you.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. And now a word from our sponsors. The Lewis Institute provides an enterprise project management program that does more than just train PMs. It helps support them from the CEO level on down. These courses help certify project leaders and prepare them to pass the PMP exam. The Business Agility Institute provides Emergence, the Journal of Business Agility. This quarterly publication brings you inspiring stories from the most innovative companies. Use the promo code ANALYST to get a 10% discount on your annual subscription.